Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of SMWS 95.63. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of SMWS 95.63, Cherries from the Neighbour's Garden. This particular whisky comes from the Auchroisk distillery, which is part of Diageo, and this whisky is a 16-year-old XPX cask. It's one of 268 bottles and it's 55.7% ABV. This particular whisky retailed for £96.80, but is sadly no longer available. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that is a russet, it's lovely hue, and it is non-chill filtered and natural colour. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is dark chocolate. Surprisingly, it isn't overpowering on the nose. I'm also getting rich, juicy raisins. There's a biscuit note in there as well, like shortbread. And I'm also getting a like Parma violet note in there as well. But nothing else. Not really getting anything else at all. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so on the palate it's a little bit spirity. This isn't a dram I'd suggest sipping as your first dram of the evening because it is a little bit potent. But there's sweet juicy raisins. It really is lovely and strong with those sweet soaked dark fruits. It really is nice. There's also some creamy chocolate in there. I'd say it's more milk chocolate than dark chocolate on the palate. But yeah, it's really is nice. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so I'm getting a hint of cloves, that sort of slightly spiciness that comes with that. There's also a slight rye spice, like a hint of linseed oil. I'm getting a little bit of bitter wood. I'm also getting like a nice sort of malted barley, almost like, yeah, it's turning into like oat cakes. Really is nice. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, so in the background there is like a tropical fruit note. I've not had many Auchroisk before, but this Speyside distillery potentially has a tropical note when it's aged in ex-bourbon, but yeah, it's definitely there, but it's not really coming to the fore. In terms of finish, I'd say it's long. I'd say there's heat and chili pepper. Definitely does sort of tingle on the palate. There is some bitter dry wood, and there's also liquid raisins. That's the dominating flavour that sort of lingers for some time. In terms of value, well, as I said, this is £96.80. So near £100. It's a 16-year-old single cask XPX, and it's from a distillery that's owned by Diageo. They don't really release anything other, as far as I'm aware, than the Flora and Fauna 10-year-old. Potentially they do release special editions from time to time, but to have this outside of that very, very limited core range is good to see. And obviously it's been aged in what you could say is a premium cask, being XPX. So I think price point, I think it's fair. Obviously, and unfortunately, you can't go out and buy this. But hopefully this has given you a flavour for what this distillery can taste like, how the potential of this is something that's really enjoyable and potentially good value for what it is, and also, you know, being able to get something that isn't readily available, because Diageo clearly don't release this in anything other than the 10-year-old. If you've tried an Auchroisk that you think is really good, or potentially maybe there was one that you didn't like, let me know in the comments. I'd really be keen to hear your experience of this distillery. If you've tried this particular one, then also let me know. I'd really be interested to hear how you compare with my notes. And, well, if this isn't something that's your cup of tea, hopefully you'll catch me for the next one. Stauncher. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.